morning everybody, it's Iain at RTO here. Welcome to Marathon Wednesday. Today we're looking at the multi-talented duo Ron and Russell Mael, known to us as Sparks. Okay, they were formed around about 1967 in Los Angeles. They've been known for their quirky approach to songwriting. It's sophisticated music. It's Shakespearean in places. It's theatrical. Russell is a hyperactive frontman, and then you've got the deadpan of Ron on the keyboards. Yeah, they have been around for a little while. They started out called Halfnelson. They recorded an album called self-titled, and then they changed it to Sparks. We'll learn about that a little bit more later. We've got 25 albums to go through today, so we'd better get started. Settle down, grab a beer, grab a tea, grab a coffee, and enjoy this. Okay, then coming in at 25, we have the 22nd album, released in 2000, Seduction of Ingmar Birdman. Now, this is the duo's first venturing into musical radio genre. The album is based on an imaginary visit to Hollywood by Swedish film director Ingmar Birdman in the 1950s, and it focuses on the divide between European and American culture, between art and commerce. This is an album that's it's one piece, so it's not been broken down. So I can't really tell you much about it. I've listened to it a couple of times. Most of the dialect is in Swedish, so I don't know what's going on. It has got some highlights of some really nice bits of music, but it is very hard to get into if you don't understand Swedish. But musically it sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of English singing in there as well, but I can't get to the gist of it, so I'm going to just give this an RTO ranking of 4 out of 10 because it musically sounds alright. Okay, then coming in at number 24, we have the most current album, the 25th, released this year, and it is called Annette, and it is the soundtrack to the film by Leos Carax. And the screenplay was done by Ron Mael and Russell Mael. Pretty cool, eh? So this is actually split up. We've got the first track, So May We Start. Don't mind this track, probably the best one on the album. Pretty solid Sparks song, very good. True Love Always Finds a Way. It's not too bad, very choral, very short. We Love Each Other So Much. It's pleasant enough, I suppose. I Am the Accompanist. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't particularly like that little bit of music. Araya, The Forest. That's okay, quite reasonable. She's Out of This World. Musically it's very good, but I don't know what it's on about. It sounds like birth control, a baby being born. Not what I want to hear on the radio or at the cinema. 6 women have come forward. I just don't get that because it's part of a film. Used to Laugh. There's a lot of use of the F word in this. It's 2 minutes long and there's more F's in it than I can imagine. The Girl from the Middle of the Nowhere is pleasant enough, but you can't really picture what's going on in the story. Let's Waltz Into the Storm. It's just a lot of musical stuff. Unless you know what's going on, it's hard to follow. Then we have a 3-bit thing. We got We've Washed Ashore, Baby Araya, Will You Haunt You, Henry. It's pleasant enough, but you just can't know what the story is. Premiere performance of Baby Annette. Weird. You don't know what's going on. All the Girls, again, you just can't feature what's going on. Stepping Back in Time again, and The Symphony of the Abyss. You just don't know what's going on. As a soundtrack, musically, it's okay. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 5.3. Okay, then coming in at number 23, we have the 17th album, released in 1997, Plagiarism. It's a sort of a tribute album of sorts of featuring alternative versions of some of their best known songs, and they've got some guests on here. So we've got Russell and Ron, Dean Mentor, who plays a lot of the guitars, Orchestral by Tony Visconti, and it features John Thomas on mixing, Eskimo in Egypt, additional production on bass, drums on Angst in My Pants, Faith No More are on this, Erasure, and Jimmy Somerville. First track is a version of Pulling Rabbits Out of a Hat. I don't mind like this version because it's quite orchestral, pretty good. Then we get an orchestral version of This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us. Pretty cool track, pretty good version. Then we get a version of Number One Song in Heaven Part 2. It's too dancey. It's nice to see another band muller in their own track. It's not very good. Funny Face. It's not a bad version of that. I'll go with that one. Where Did You Get to Sing My Way? Not very good. Angst in My Pants. Too dancey. Totally ruined it. Change. It's not a bad version. Popularity, it's just a load of rubbish. Dance Drum, I don't like that speeded up drum sound, awful. Something for the Girl with Everything, I don't mind this arrangement of this song, it's pretty good. It's orchestral. Then we get a cracking version of This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us. It's done with Faith No More, always guaranteed a good rocker there. Beat the Clock, shocking version of that. Why muck about with a good song? Big Bass Ring, it's okay, not as good as the original. Amateur Hour with Erasure. This is just a pile of dung in my eyes. I love this song, but definitely not this version. Propaganda. I don't know what they've done with that, but they've totally mixed it up. It's a bizarre track in itself, but they've really bizarred it up. When I'm With You, this isn't too bad. Then we get another version of Something with the Girl from Everything, done with Faith No More. Absolutely brilliant version of that. Orchestral collage, pointless 24 seconds of nothing. Number One Song in Heaven, awful version. First thing wrong about this is Jimmy Somerville. I just don't like his vocal at all. I just can't stand him. There's not many people, but I just, the thought of him, he just ruins it. Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth. It's okay, I suppose. Not a patch on the original. As I said, there's some interesting stuff on this, and there's some really awful stuff. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 5.5. Okay, coming in at number 22 then is the 15th album, released in 1988, Interior Design. This is versus Russell and Ron, Spencer Sercombe on guitars, Pamela Stonebrook on backing vocals, and John Thomas on the keyboards. First track, So Important, best track on the album. Love the guitar work in this. Very good keyboard arrangement from Ron, and Russell's on fire. Just Got Back from Heaven, your typical 80s song. This doesn't appeal to me. Number 3 on this is Lots of Reasons. Very dated now, it's just that horrible 80s yuck. You've Got a Hold of My Heart. I don't mind this one, well arranged, making the use of the sounds of the 80s pretty good. Loverama, typical sort of Sparks weirdness, but I like it. Toughest Town and Girl, more 80s twaddle, I'm afraid, doesn't do anything to me. Let's Make Love, again, that horrible synthy 80s sound, that plastic drum, not for me. Stop me if you've heard this before. Horrible, horrible drum machines on this. A walk down memory lane, yeah, more like a walk through 80s dribble. Madonna, it's quite quirky song, not bad at all. The Big Brass Ring, again, this is a better track, really dramatic, this version, love it. This album, bit of a mixed bag. Starts off very, very strong and then declines into more 80s garbage. But for the good songs, I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 21 then, we have the 14th album, released September 86. Music that you can dance to. We've got Russell and Ron on here, Bob Haag on guitars and synthesizers, Leslie Boham on bass guitar, David Kendrick on drums, and John Thomas doing some additional keyboards. First track, title track, music that you can dance to, very pleasant track. Nice arrangement. Okay, it's got that 80s feel, but it's done very well, and a great vocal from Russell. Rosebud, too much 80s for me. Not my cup of tea at all. Fingertips, again, very 80s, very dated now. Change, I like this. It's a great arrangement. It's a little bit different. A bit of experimentation there, and it comes up very well. The Scene, one of their weird tracks, but the dual keyboards on this is great, fantastic. Shopping Mall of Love, Sparks at their most wonderfully weirdness, not a bad track. Modesty Plays, not very good at all. Let's Get Funky, this is a bit disco-y in places, little gem. Another mixed bag, yes, 'tis a mixed bag. One or two tracks though are very, very clever. So I'll give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then, coming in at number 20, we have the 9th album from 1980. It's the second one that producer Giorgio Moroder was involved in, and it's Terminal Jive. Got Russell and Ron, of course. W.G. Snuffy Walden on guitar. Richie Zitto on bass guitar. Harold Faltermeyer, yes. The same man that wrote the song Axel Foley. And the theme from Beverly Hills Cop and all that sort of thing. Keith Forsley on the drums, Laurie Forsey on the backing vocals. First track is called When I'm With You. Pretty solid track, very early sounding, something that you'd get from OMD sound, but Russell sounds very good on this. Just Because You Love Me, solid track, one of them typical tracks from that 1980 period, 79-80, pretty good. Rock and Roll People in a Disco World, it's a bit different, very solid track though. When I'm With You, an instrumental version, God knows why, it doesn't need to be there. Young Girls, I've never been a fan of that. Or Noisy Boys. Then we have a track called Stereo. This is very good in places, very good use of the 80s sound. Giorgio Moroder, very good. The Greatest Show on Earth sounds something like that Ultravox was doing around the 1980s. Pretty good. Not a bad album. Very well produced. Got some good tracks on it. And I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.4. Okay, coming in at number 19, 11th album, 1982's Angst in My Pants. They come up with some weird and wonderful names. So we got Russell and Ron, Leslie Bohem, Bob Haag, David Kendrick on drums, James Goodwin on synthesizers. Track 1 is Angst in My Pants. not bad. Obviously a lot better than the version they did on Plagiarism. It's just classic Sparks. I predict very poppy, very uplifting and very enjoyable. Sextown USA. Very Sparks, distinctive sound on this. No exception here, it's pretty solid. Sherlock Holmes. Again, one of those tracks from Sparks that's quite unique in its own way. Great vocal from Russell on this, very good. My favourite track on here is called Nicotina. Sounds very Ultravox in places, but very, very good. Then we have a track called Mickey Mouse. Only Sparks could write a song about Mickey Mouse and mention the gang too. Hey, pretty good. And you think that's worse? The next one, Moustache. Yes, it's a song about Ron's moustache. What more can you say? Good tune though, good tune. Instant Weight Loss, another little beauty from Sparks. One of them catchy beats that you just can't get out of your head. Tarzan and Jane. Great keyboards from Ron on this. Some superb drumming too. Absolutely brilliant track. The Decline and Fall of Me, great track. Love Russell's vocals on this. Such a great voice. And the last track is called Eaten by the Monster of Love. Another catchy Sparks song. Can't go wrong with that. Really good album this is. Sparks have just got one of these knacks of reinventing themselves, haven't they? And again, very good album. I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in at number 16. 16th album, released in 1994 after an absence of 6 years from the music industry, so they just disappeared for 6 years. Gratuitous sax and Senseless violins. On here it's just got Russell and Ron and some guest vocals from Tusi Hark and Bill Kong. First track is a really stupid intro called Gratuitous Sax. I don't know what it's doing there because it doesn't serve nothing. What do I get to sing my way? This is a better version than on the Plagiarism. What I like about this, it's electronic and there's a drum machine on it without a doubt, but it's done with taste and well produced and well thought out. And Russell's voice on here is absolutely brilliant. Again, they're adapting to the genre of the time. Really good. When I Kiss You, I hear Charlie Parker Payne. If Sparks do anything, they come up with some weird and wonderful titles of tracks. And I love the vocal on this. It's just craziness from Russell, but it's really good. Next track, Frankly Scarlet, I Don't Give a Damn. Another gem of a title, but it's a great arrangement. Russell's great on this, and Ron as ever. I Told You to Wait in the Car. Never really got into this one. This is even a little bit too weird for yours truly. Next track, Hear No Evil, See No Evil, Speak No Evil. Again, one of their little gems from this band that they come up with. Ron's keyboard arrangement is fantastic on here. It's so catchy. Again, you've got some superb singing from Russell. Now That I Own the BBC. This is a bit dancey, but it's a dance track that actually has got a melody and a hook line. And I've got no problem with any music that's got a melody. This has, and it's not too bad. Tusi Hark, featuring Tusi Hark and Bill Kong. Not very good. They either come up with some absolute brilliance, or in this case an absolute stinker. Next track, The Ghost of Liberace. Great track. All about Liberace, of course. Bit of tribute to him, bit of tongue in cheek. Then we get Let's Go Surfing. Too dancey for me. Way out of my sort of comfort zone. Senseless Violins. Pointless track. Not a bad album. We've got some gems on here and some handsome stinkers, as I call them, which is fair enough. But I'll still give it an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 17, we have the 19th album, released in 2002, Lil Beethoven. We've got Russell and Ron, of course. Tammy Glover's on the drums. Dean Mentor is on guitar. John Thomas is there, lending a hand on mixing and engineering. First track, The Rhythm Thief. Very clever use of orchestral arrangement here. Very good vocal from Russell. How Do We Get to Carnegie Hall? Love the keyboards on this. And the string sounds fantastic. What are all these bands so angry about? Basically, Ron on the piano, Russell singing, very, very, very good. I Married Myself. Some great piano work on here from Ron Mayle. Again, that orchestral arrangement really lifts this song, and complemented well by Russell. My favourite track then is Ryden Cowboy. Just a really good song. Love the arrangement on here again. The orchestral arrangement is fantastic, and great vocals from Russell. My Baby's Taking Me Home. This song's just got that feel of them, that speakeasy time in America from the 20s and 30s, but with a modern layer to it. Fantastic track. Your call's very important to us, please hold. Oh, musically it's fine, but the repetitive of your call's very important to me, to us, please hold, just annoys me. Ugly with Beautiful Girls, another good track. Great guitar piece in this. You don't get much guitar work in this sort of band, but when you do get it, it's pretty good. And then Suburban Homeboy. This has got horns on it. It's okay. Very different album from them, but it's still very pleasant and it's a good listen. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7.7. Okay then, coming in at number 16, sorry, we have the 18th album, released in the year 2000, basically just called Balls. We've got Russell and Ron, Tammy Glover's on the drums again, a Singer Burger to some narration along with Amelia Cohn, and John Thomas is there mixing, engineering and lending his hand. Title track Balls, very clever track. Bass sequence and synths, drum machine fits in nicely, and Russell's vocals is spot on. More Than a Sex Machine. This is a little bit Jean-Michel Jarre from the 2000s. Pretty good and very experimental of sounds. Russell's voice is just on fire. Then we get Shirts and Aid. Great arrangement. Very eerie. But it's got a great use of a drum machine on here. If it's programmed properly, it sounds alright, and Ron knows what he's doing. Aeroflot. Again, one of these weird tracks that's too weird for me. The Calm Before the Storm. This is a poppy dance song, but the drumming's brilliant on it. Great sound, and Russell's vocal is just amazing. Then we get one of their lovely title tracks, How Did You Get Your Ass Kicked? Bit mellow, but where do they come up with these titles? Bullet Train. It's too dancey for me, but it's brilliantly produced. You sit and listen to it, it puts modern dance to shame, because these guys know what they're doing. Ron knows what he's doing. Sits there very dapper and deadpan, but what makes his brain tick is fantastic. Then we get It's a Knockoff, a again, one of these quirky Sparks tracks that gets your feet going. Irreplaceable, a bit of a dancey track, but the vocal on it is superb, and Ron's piano playing is just out of this world. Such a great keyboard player. It's educational. What a great arrangement this is. The sounds and the use of the percussion, it puts them in these modern day hipsters to shame, you know. Modern music done by proper musicians. Then the last track, The Angels, my favourite track on the album actually. It's just a pleasant and refreshing to listen to some nice keyboard from Ron and a great vocal from Russell. Okay, apart from this album being quite dancey in places, it has got some nice arrangements and well produced. I don't mind listening to music that's well produced and again has got melodies and hooks, and it makes sense when you're listening to it. So I'll give this an RTO ranking of 7.9. Okay then, coming in at number 15 we have the 13th album, released in 1984, Pulling a Rabbit Out of a Hat. This has of course got Russell and Ron, we've got Leslie Bohem on here, Bob Hague's back on the guitars and synthesizers, Dave Kendrick's back playing the drums, and John Thomas as ever lending a hand on keyboards. First track, classic, Pulling Rabbits Out of a Hat. I just love Russell's high pitched voice on that, fantastic track. Love Seams. It's very 80s, but done with a bit of style. Even they've got the synthy sound sounding right. Very good. Pretending to be drunk. There's just something about one of these tracks. Again, it's quirky, it's hooky, and you can't get the damn tune out of your head. Progress, not my cup of tea. Never been a fan of that. With All My Might, pleasant enough song, nothing wrong with it. Sparks in the Darks, half a minute of quirkiness, leaving you for more. Everybody Move flows quite nicely from Sparks in the Dark, nice little tune, again very hooky. A song that sings itself. It's a 90s sort of keyboardy sounding song, but it has got some fantastic keyboard runs from Ron. Sisters reminds me a lot of the Human League in places. A very good track. Same with Kiss Me Quick, very solid 90s song. And then they do Sparks in the Dark Part 2. Basically carries on from Part 1. Great keyboard in this, and how he arranges music, Ron, is such an incredible bloke. Very underrated in my eyes. Good way to end the album. For an album that was made in 1984, got a lot of those 80s traits and sounds, but what makes this album good is the production and the care that was taken in putting this album together, which makes it stand out from the rest of that 80s dribble. So I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 14 we have the 12th album, released in 1983, In Outer Space. Features the Mail brothers, of course. Bob Hague's back on the guitar, Leslie Bohem is on the bass, Dave Kendrick's back on the drums, and another keyboard extras from James Goodwin. Got some extra vocals on here from Jane Weldon on a couple of tracks, one of them being Cool Places and the other Lucky Me Lucky You. First track, Cool Places. When this starts up, you got all this nice keyboard and drums, and you think, oh, we're going to get Midge singing. That's how good it is, but you get Russell. But it's a great track. Popularity. This is so quirky and upbeat and foot tapping. It's a typical 80s, early 80s pop song from that sort of era. Depeche Mode, Blancmange could have done any of these. Very, very good song. Praying for a Party, my favourite track on the album. I love the guitar working, it works well with that synthetic drum. Again, programmed properly, thought about, it can work to your advantage. All You Ever Think About Is Sex. Not a very good song. Please Baby Please. Another of these catchy songs from Sparks. The arrangement of the keyboards, Russell's vocal is so good. Rocking Girls. This is what I'd say the 50s meets the 80s. It's got that rock and roll feel, but using a bit of the electronic 80s sound. Very good track, very clever track. I wish I looked a little better. I just love these tracks. The keyboards, the little bit of sounds and different textures really sticks out on this one. Makes it a fantastic track. Lucky Me, Lucky You. Probably the weakest track on the album. It's okay. A Fun Bunch of Guys from Outer Space. Very OMD. And I don't mind that because I loved OMD, of course. Dance, God Damn It. It's one of them, what I call one of these eccentric pop songs. Sort of thing you'd used to get from 10cc and XTC. That sort of, although they're American, it's very British. Good way to end the album, of course. As ever, Sparks come up with some absolute little gems on this. Enjoyable album. And I'll give it an RTO ranking of 8.6. Okay, coming in at number 13, we have the 10th album, released in 1981. Whomp That Sucker. We've got Russell and Ron, Bob Howe's back, Leslie Bohem is back, Dave Kendrick's back, and we've got Mac, who's synthesised, programming, production. Mac is a pretty good producer. He produced some of the Queen albums, of course, so you know you're going to get some good stuff off this. Tips for Teens is the opener, one of the classic Sparks tracks from the Mail Brothers. Funny Face. This is a much better version, the best version. They totally ruined it on Plagiarism. Got a great beat to it, great for the era, brilliant. Where's My Girl? This actually goes back to the earlier sound of Sparks. It's sort of when the changeover time. Great riffs in this, great drumming, very post-punk, very good track. Upstairs, again, very on the same vein as Where's My Girl. Great funky sound as well. I Married a Martian, solid sort of track from Sparks. Does what it says on the tin, that one does. You know it's Sparks straight away. Then we get one of their silly tracks called the Willies. It's so weird but wonderful. My favourite track comes next, Don't Shoot Me. Got a great guitar riff, some really interesting guitar riffs in this, really weird keyboards from Ron, and a great vocal from Russell. Safety Susie, guitars, brass, lots of instruments, lots of good sound, great. That's Not Natissa, very post-punk track this is, great drumming and piano on it, very impressive track. Wacky Women, great little rock song that is right out the top drawer. Fantastic album this is. It's electro post-punk sort of sound, can't go wrong. I'll give it an RTO ranking of 8.7. okay, number 12, from 1975, the 5th album, Indiscreet. On here we have got Ron and Russell. Ian Hampton is on bass, Trevor White on guitar, and Norman Dinky Diamond on drums. Basically the band, members of the band before they decided to go as a duo. Hospitality on Parade, amazing track this is. The piano work of Ron is electrifying, and to add to it you've got an amazing vocal from Russell. Happy Hunting Ground, great rock track this is. Love the bass line, very heavy. Without Using Hands, one of Sparks' wonderful nonsense tracks that you just love. Get Into Swing, brilliant track, catchy, hooky, great melody. Under the Table with Her, this is totally out there, this is even too weird for me. Very funny arrangement. How You Getting Home, solid rock track, good stuff. Pineapple, this is one of them tracks where you just can't get into it. Then we get a track called Tits, a little bit strange. Yes, It Ain't 1918, it's one of those tracks you don't expect from Sparks, but it's a cross between electronic and country music with violins and keyboards. Really weird, but very good. The Ladies Lingering, nice song this is. Got some nice keyboard, very 10cc Supertramp vein, very good. Into the Future, very rocky but an interesting keyboard from Ron on this, but that actually makes it more enjoyable. Looks, again one of these jazzy little numbers from the 30s. Love the brush drum, the use of the brushes on the drums from Drummond, and you get Diamond from Dinky Diamond. Great jazz pianist, I think, really gets in the swing. Quite a good track. Even got clarinet on this, and what more do you want? Then we got a great track to end the album, Miss the Start, Miss the End, very David Bowie, Spiders of Mars, great rock track, great guitar solo. Another solid album, got some really good rockers on this one. One of my favourite albums from that period, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay, coming in to the number 11 spot, then we have an album released in 1977, the 7th one, introducing Sparks. This has got Russell Mael, and it's got lots of people on this: David Foster, Ed Green, Ron Mael, David Piach, Mike Picano, Renee Press, Lee Reitenor, Thom Rotham, doesn't say what they're doing, and then you get backing vocals from Tom Bauer, Al Capp, Stan Farber, Jim Hass, Ron Hicklin, Mark Bisticci, Nick Uhrig. So it doesn't say what they're playing, but we all know that probably you've got Ron Mael playing the keyboards. Big Surprise is the first track, very good track, very 1970 pop music, well arranged, pretty good stuff. Occupation, it's quirky, but it's a bit indifferent in places. It gets a little bit mixed up, but it's enjoyable. Ladies, it's okay. I'm not one of them 70s track that's quite glammy in places, you know, T-Rexy sort of sound, pretty good. Forever Young, solid rock song, great riffs in this, great stuff. Goofing Off, it's one of them little nonsense tracks from Sparks, catchy hooks, great chorus, great singing from Russell. Then we get my favourite track called Girls on the Brain. This is a sort of my childhood sound, Slade, Sweet, Mud, Bay City Rollers, Susie Quattro, they're all there. That sound, great song. Then we have a track called Over the Summer. This is where I call Sparks meets the Beach Boys. Do a great job. Those Mysteries, that's okay, it's not a bad track. Great album, it's got some great rockers. Very underrated album, this one, and I give it an RTO ranking of 8.9. Okay then, coming in at number 10, top 10 at last. Debut album from 1971. Originally self-titled Halfnelson, because it was still called Halfnelson, and then in 1972 they reissued it under the name, the group's real new name of Sparks, and this is when they were a band. So in the band was Russell Mayle, Ron Mayle, Earl Mankey, Jim Mankey, bass guitar and guitar respectively, and Harley Feinstein on drums. First track, Wonder Girl, great rock track that is, nice little rocker. Then we get a track called Fala Farley. I think this is punk before punk was ever invented. It's got some weird keyboards in it, great track. Then we have a track called Roger, great little track. One of these tracks that's totally ahead of its time. Unbelievable sound. Then we get High C, a very early 70s pop song, very good. Fletcher Hieronyma, another great little track. This is from the band, really solid rocker. Simple Ballet, first time we hear one of them songs that's got a little bit of that 1930s feel to it. Great piano work from Ron, fantastic. Slow Boat, solid track, nice arrangement, nice singing from Russell. Then we get probably the worst track ever, Biology 2. It's sang by Earl Mankey. Musically arranged well, but without Ron singing, it's not very good. Then we get Sakharine and the War. Great lyrics on this, great guitar work as well. Big bands, great rock track, great guitar solo on that one. Then we get a track called No More Mr. Nice Guys, nothing to do with the Alice Cooper. It's almost a prog song, this is, very good in place. Okay, this album I think was about 4 or 5 years ahead of its time musically. And I don't think the poor American public could cope with it. But I think it's an excellent debut album, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay then, coming in at number 9, we have the 20th album from 2006 called Hello Young Lovers. It's a concept album which addresses the aspects of modern love. On here we've got Russell and Ron, John Thomas is there doing his stuff, Tammy Glover's back on the drums, Dean Mentors on the guitars, Jim Wilson does some extra stuff, and Stephen Shane McDonald does some additional bass work. First track is one of their fun tracks called Dick Around. It's orchestral, it's got a rock feel to it, fun lyric, typical Sparks, some great riffs, great piano from Ron, and a fantastic vocal from Russell. Good track all round. Perfume, great song, fantastic vocal from Russell, very good Sparks track indeed. The very next Fight, orchestral arrangement on is superb. Then you just got piano from Ron and a very good vocal from Russell. Then we get one of the Sparks. Where did you come up with this name for the track? Baby, baby, can I invade your country? orchestral style rock song, bit operatic, lots of overdubs of vocals from Russell, but it's great. Rock, orchestral arrangements, just tremendous stuff. Metaphor. It's the Mower brothers having a little fun. Great rock track as well, very hooky, my favourite track. Waterproof. Again, it's just, there's no word to describe this, it's just different and it works. Everything they touch seemed to work, and that works as well. I can't even describe what it's like. It's just a great uplifting song, nice beat, hooks, the galore, makes it good. Hello, here Kitty. One of their weird tracks, pretty cool though. No Such Thing as Aliens. Again, it's just a track that's out there, but it's just brilliant. Then the last track, As I Sit Down to Play the Organ at the Notre Dame Cathedral. Obviously you get some nice church organ in this. Nice arrangement. Ron again is just an incredible musician and gets the best out of whatever he touches. These later Sparks albums are really strong. They've gone away from the poppy disco sound, sort of going back to their roots with a modern twist. Superb album. The orchestral arrangements on this is pretty good stuff. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.2. Okay, number 8, 4th album from 2020. Recorded in the gaps between the film projects and uses a full rock group format to draw the band's full range of musical styles. It's called A Steady Drip Drip. So on here we've got Russell and Ron, Steve Nistas on the drums, Evan Weiss on guitars, Ellie Pearl on guitars, Patrick Kelly on the bass, Ryan Parrish on saxophone. All that. Great track, proper 70s rock sound, absolutely stunning. I'm Toast, more of the same please, heavy guitar riffs, awesome song. Lawnmower. How many people write songs about lawnmowers? Sparks and Genesis. It's just a catchy arrangement, really good. Sainthood is Not in Your Future, solid track, great rocker, really enjoy that one. My favourite track though is a track called Pacific Standard Time. The keyboards on this are just terrific, great guitar work, favourite songs from them, full stop. Stravinsky's Only Hit, very solid rocker, very good. Left Out in the Cold, another of them catchy poppy songs from the brothers. It's very good. Self, Effacing, solid song, great drumming on this, keyboard runs galore, top notch. One for the Ages, Ron and Russell can still write a good pop song. This is a prime example of a Sparks pop song. Then we got Unknown Payer, finest performance of Russell's on vocals. He just hasn't lost any of that touch that he has. I mean, he's getting older and he can still knock out a great tune. iPhone is the next one, another catchy quirky track, nice arrangements, solid stuff. The Extensional Threat, I'm not keen on this one, it's a bit dull. Nothing Travels Faster Than the Speed of Light. It's a very 60s sounding song, psychedelic, but written in 2020. Sounds perfect, tremendous track. Then we get the last track. It's one of them where I have to swear, so I do apologise. It's just called Please Don't Fuck Up My World. And as it says on the tin, that's what it's about. It's quirky, great strong lyrics, and you've got a choir used to singing the chorus using the F word, which is quite amusing. This is a very strong album. One of their best ones since, say, from the 70s. Russell Male is still a fantastic singer, and they are still a very underrated band. And I'll give this an RTO ranking of 9.3. Okay, then coming in at number 7, we have the 21st album. Another album from the 2000s, 2008. Exotic Creatures of the Deep. Got Russell and Ron on here, Tammy Glover's back on the drums, Dean Mentor's back on the guitars, and the ever faithful John Thomas mixing, engineering, bits of keyboards and that. First track is just called Intro. It's very harmonious. Then it goes into Good Morning. Again, one of them quirky little tunes, some sparks, hooks you in straight away. Then keyboards do it for you. It's just brilliant. Strange Animal. It's one of their 40s style songs, but done with a modern twist. Really good. Then we get my favourite track. I Can't Believe That You Would Fall for All the Crap in This Song. People do, because it's got an addictive hook. It reminds me of the beginning of Muted Uprising, foot tapping, and I just love it. Okay, next track, one of their weird titles, Let the Monkey Drive. I just want to know what goes on in their heads, because it's just absolutely bizarre, off the planet, but it's a great song. Intro reprise, God knows why that's there. I've Never Been High. It's a ballad, lovely arrangement. I can listen to that all day. She Got Me Pregnant. Wonderful weird track again. The orchestral arrangement on this is superb as ever. Lighten Up Morrissey. Nice little rock. I'm sure this is having a go at a certain musician, and in all honesty, he can be a miserable. But you know, this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, but it's okay. This is the Renaissance. Solid track. Love the sound on this. The Director Never Yelled Cut. Love the harmonies in this. Overdubbed vocal from Russell. Sounds great. Photoshop. Again, one of these arrangements that's totally out there, but it works and comes together very nice from the Mail brothers. Likeable, operatic, lots of nice vocal, fantastic. Again, another fabulous album from the 2000s. They've come up with some great stuff in the year in the 21st century. Brilliant stuff, and I'll give this an RTO ranking of 9.4. Okay, coming in at number 6, got the fourth album, 1974's Propaganda. Got the usual suspects on here. We've got Russell and Ron. Got Trevor White on guitar, Ian Hampton on bass, Norman Dinky Diamond, Adrian Fisher, sort of left out the band that's not the band anymore. First track is Propaganda. Okay, this is 23 minutes 23 seconds of voice mixing. Very good. And they just totally mullered it on Plagiarism. But they're just having a little bit of fun. First proper track on here is called At Home, At Work, At Play. Great rock track. The arrangement is superb. You crank it up and it really rocks. Reinforcements, great rocker. Absolute stonking guitar work on this. Great solo on this. Brilliant stuff. And as a rock singer, Russell is fantastic. BC isn't the best track on the album. Thanks but no thanks. Solid rock track. Great keyboards on this, that real 70s feel to it. And again, an absolutely dynamite vocal from Russell. Don't Leave Me Alone with Her, favourite track. It's in the same vein of another great track by Sparks, which we'll talk about in a bit. Favourite track on the album. Never Turn Your Back on Mother Earth, the definitive version, much better than the modern version, solid track. Then we got another one of my favourite tracks by Sparks, Something for the Girl with Everything. I just love that track. At You, silly lyric, but they get away with it. Who Don't Like Kids, great little rocker, got some kids giving it some, having a bit of fun, screaming away, adds to the atmosphere of the track. And the last track, Bon Voyage, not the best track on the album. Okay, solid album, got some really strong tracks on this, love this album to death, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.5. Okay, number 5, sixth album, released in 1976. It's called Big Beat. Features Russell and Ron, of course, Sal Maida, Jeffrey Sallen, and Hilly Boy Michaels on drums. Track title track, no, Big Boy's the first track. Heavy rock track. One of the heaviest that Sparks ever did. I Want to Be Like Everybody Else. Great rock track. Great riff on this at the beginning. Nothing to Do. Solid rock track. Brilliant piano on here. Really twinkles the ivories, does Ron on this. And a really good drum on this as well. I Bought the Mississippi River. One of them total different tracks, but great keyboards from Ron on this. Fantastic. Fill Her Up. Great track. Favourite one on the album. Really rocks. Got a great guitar solo, which you don't get very often in a Sparks song. Every Boy's Stupid. A boogie guitar sound. A bit like some of T-Rex's boogie stuff. Very, very good. Throw Her Away and Get a New One. It's a rocker, but it's not the best rocker. Confusion. It's a little bit weak. It's a little bit flat. Screwed Up. Just got to be one of the heaviest rock tracks from Sparks. Really good track. White Women. Very controversial song now if you listen to it. It doesn't sit well now. Great rock track, but the lyrics just don't sit well in this climate. I Like Girls. Again, it's one of them tracks that sounds great, but the lyrics just don't sit well in this day and age. Really good rock album from Sparks. It's got some of the heaviest tracks they ever did, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.6. Okay then, coming in at number 4, we have the second studio album, and it was the last release of the original 5-band member incarnation of Sparks. A Woofer's Tweeter in Clothing, released in 1973. So the band at the time was Russell, Ron, Earl Mankey, Jim Mankey and Harvey Feinstein again. First track is a track called Girl from Germany. It was a single, great little rocker, love that track. Beaver O'Lindy, another good song, great rocker. This is when they were doing more rock music than electronic, pretty good. Nothing Is Sacred, sounds more like something that Alice Cooper would do, not Sparks, but it's really good. We got Here Comes Bob. We got one of these little string quartet type songs here, a little bit different for the time, but nice track. Moon Over Kentucky, awesome rocker. Builds up from slow rock right to a heavy rock, great. Then we get a cover song written by Richard Rogers and Oscar Hammerstein. Yes, it's from the film Sound of Music, and it's Do Re Mi, a very unusual cover. Only Sparks could do something like this and get away with it, and it is a really good version of Do Re Mi. Angst Desire, great rock track, very early orchestral arrangement on this for a Sparks song, very good. Underground, this is written by one of the other members of the band, and but they carried on. I don't think they'd have had the success they had because it's not a very good track. Then we get a track called The Louvre, very, very interesting. Russell's singing in French, and we got some nice sort of Frenchy sort of keyboard sound from Ron, and it sounds pretty good. Batteries not included. It's 47 seconds of nonsense. The brothers just having a bit of fun, I suppose. Whippings and Apologies, again very progressive, space rock more than progressive, very good album. Again, I'd say this is another groundbreaking album from Sparks. Again, a little bit before its time, and I don't think people were ready for that. To me, it's a fantastic album, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.5. Top 3. Easy this was. One of the easiest rankings I've had to do for the top 3. It was more the other end that was the worst, trying to get them sorted. But number 3 is the 23rd album, released in 2017, simply called Hippopotamus. We've got Russell and Ron, the mentors here. Steve Nister's back on the drums. We've got an appearance by the director Leos Karos, who plays the accordion and vocals, and a vocal by Rebecca Sajowal. Okay, first track, Probably Nothing. Very, very good song. It's very short, but it's just Russell having a bit of fun. Then we get a track called Missionary Position. Great track. It's quite rocky, quite catchy, brilliant. Edith Piaf said it better than me. A really good rocker, solid track. They've still got it. Scandinavian Design. Fantastic melody, catchy tune, everything you expected as Sparks song. Giddy Giddy, it's one of the weaker tracks on the album, and you know, it's not too bad. What the hell is it this time? Got some great guitar on this, really rocky. Then you've got that lovely orchestral arrangement from Ron, very, very good song. Russell again, top form. My favourite track comes next, Unaware. Love the arrangement on this. It's a nice sound, but what makes it great is the vocals from Russell. Superb. And you get that little bit of the guitar halfway through, it just makes it a fantastic track. Then we get the title track, Hippopotamus. Yes, Hippopotamus in my pool. Where do they come up with these lyrics? But I suppose it's just a normal day for the Mower brothers in the world of rock and roll. Bummer, again, love this. The vocal arrangement and the different layers of vocals from Russell is fantastic. I wish you were fun. Again, one of them Sparks track that's got that 40s 30s feel to it. Great bass line, great piano with that modern twist. Old music done with a modern twist. Then we get one of the weird and wonderful titles of a Sparks song. So tell me, Mrs. Lincoln, aside from that, how was the play? Very strange arrangement, very strange song, but clever. It's just fantastic. And then you've got one, a little tribute to Leo Carax, When You're a French Director. Bit of accordion, bit of French speaking. Love the French dialect, fantastic. Then we get a little bit like fun. Musically, this is brilliant. Russell sounds fantastic on it, but what makes it is Ron and his wizardry keyboards. Last track on the song is called Life with the Macbeths. Stunning rock opera track featuring Rebecca Sojewall with Russell. My favourite second track on the album. This album is the best album they have made since 1979. But I like all these newer Spark albums. Everything they've done since 2000 has been out of the top drawer. Great comeback. And I'll give this album an RTO ranking of 9.6. Okay, number 2. Third album. Released in 74. Considered to be the commercial breakthrough. Kimono My House. On here we have got Russell May, Ron Mayle, Martin Gordon, Adrian Fisher and Norman Dinky Diamond, who's credited with drums, percussion and castanets. Opening track, the classic, the best, my favourite Sparks song, This Town Isn't Big Enough for the Both of Us. Great vocal, great guitar riff, and I can always remember Top of the Pops, Deadpan Ron. Didn't move a muscle. Great track. Then we get another great track from the band, Amateur Hour, classic. Love this song. Great riffs, nice keyboards, fantastic vocal from Russell, of course. Falling in Love with Myself Again, different, great bass line, swing, bit of a swing to it, good flow. Here in Heaven, great track. Again, these are all great tracks. Heavy riffs as well, pretty cool. Thank God It's Not Christmas. Love that guitar at the beginning and the drums come in. Nice bass line as well. Great rocker. Hasta Mañana Monsieur. Fantastic rock track. Again, a little bit before punk, but it's going that way, and I'd say that these were the inventions of punk. Talent is an asset. Weird as you like. Xylophone and bass. Yeah, different. Complaints. Nice little rocker from the band. Ron's solid on that, on these keyboards. In the Family. Very glam rock, but very good. Equator. Heavy riff. Guitar solo is brilliant, and Russell's vocal is spot on. You know, great rock singer. I would say this is the best album of their early albums, without a doubt. Some of the very heavy stuff and glam, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 9.8. Okay, my number 1. Well, this came out in 1979 on Virgin Records. Apart from the single This Town Ain't Big Enough, this is the first real song I'd really heard, album I'd heard from Sparks. A friend of mine brought it and I fell in love with it. And we're talking about Number 1 in Heaven, of course. Produced by Giorgio Moroder. Marked the change of the musical direction as well. And in this album influenced so many synth pop bands. You talk about some of the bands and the synth pop, and they always talk about Sparks. So on here we've got Russell and Ron, Keith Forsley on drums, Giorgio Moroder on the synthesizer, Dan Wyman on synthesizers. First track, Tryouts for the Human Race. Love the start of this, with them little like droplet sounds. Then you got the keyboards fading in. Brilliant track, great vocal from Russell. Terrific stuff. Then we get the Academy Awards performance. Lovely keyboard work in here from, I think everybody played a part on this one. Sounds brilliant. The drums, it's that electronic drum, but it sounds brilliant on that. The Dolce Vita, great effects on this, great drum beat. Russell's vocals on it are incredible. Them high notes, terrific. Beat the Clock's next. My favourite song on the album, probably my second favourite song by Sparks. I love them little keyboard bits. I love the beat. It's catchy, brilliant stuff. My Other Voice. This has got some clever stuff in it. You've got a drum beat that's reversed, that sounds incredible. You've got that groovy bass line, and then the keyboards, and then Russell's voice on this is just spot on. It sort of enhances this track. I just love it. And the final track on the album is the title track, Number One Song in Heaven. Very short album, but an amazing album. I love the beginning of this, that choir, and Russell's voice sounds fantastic. And then you get the main part, the upbeat part. It's just unbelievable hitting them the high notes. Okay, I've got the 40th anniversary version now, and the reason I've got it, it's got some little bits. It's got a great 12-inch version of Beat the Clock, where you got electronic drums and drums working in harmony. But the reason I brought it, and I hadn't heard these for years, it's got a couple of promos on it. One being, both done by the fantastic Peter Cook. They are so funny. I have put them in the playlists for you to enjoy. Absolutely brilliant. You get like 12 longer versions of Tryouts for the Human Race, single version of Tryouts for the Human Race, and Number One Song in Heaven. All in all, it's a brilliant album. Got lots of memories of this. One of my favourite albums, and I'll give it an RTO ranking of 10 out of 10. So there we have another long one. They are such a brilliant band. One of my guilty pleasures. Always have enjoyed them. Been a fan for a little while. One of the first singles I brought. This Town Ain't Big Enough for the both of us. So that's that for today. What do we got tomorrow? It's Then and Now. Can't believe it's Thursday already. We are doing The Who tomorrow, the Mighty Who. Album artwork tomorrow. We're looking at the studio albums of ex-Genesis guitarist, prog legend Steve Hackett. So we'll be back for that tomorrow. Until then, have a great day, evening, whatever you're doing, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care for now.